Hi friends, welcome back to the Model 3 Man channel, and this episode is called 3 After 3, a sober evaluation of 3 years of ownership of my Tesla Model 3, known as Red Dragon. It's in the title, a sober evaluation. Can I prove it? Here's a bottle of Okanagan apple cider, 7% alcohol, harvest pear flavor. It's completely unopened. Therefore, I have to be sober. So, herewith, my sober evaluation of 3 years of owning the Tesla Model 3, aka Red Dragon. I have no desire to try and make this a very long episode, but I want to cover the following. How I feel about the car now. I want to cover things that I don't like about the car, or that I and Janine don't like about the car. I also want to cover accessories that we've added to the car over time. Then I want to look at some regrets that I have. And I'm going to end by going back 2 years and looking at the episode that I uploaded called Tesla Model 3 1 year later. I haven't looked at it in 2 years. I cannot remember the 10 things I said I love about the car. What we'll do is we'll compare how that list I made then compares to this list that I've just given you. If that sounds like a lot, I can tell you that I'm going to go through it quickly. So without any further ado, let's get going. The things that I like most about the Tesla Model 3, the constant evolution and improvements brought about through the over-the-air updates, OTA, over-the-air updates. And I can tell you that over the 3 years, the car has changed dramatically from the way it was the day that I first picked it up. So there's my number one. Number two, the power, the acceleration, and the silence with which it does it. You know, you put your foot down in a regular ICE vehicle, and you can hear the engines revving up. You can hear the cylinders and the pistons and everything working together to throw you forward. But not on a Model 3.
Ready? Yep. Oh my God! Oh, my stomach is in my chest! Wow!
I'm taking this to the track right
No words.
This doesn't feel anything like my 3 on track. Oh my God.
There are no words for that. Oh my God!
So I love that silent power which I need when I have to overtake, when I want to get beyond the intersection and get beyond all the cars, when it's a matter of life and death and I have to accelerate quickly. It's great to have it, and it's that silent power that is still awesome. Number 3, the feeling of safety. The Model 3 was rated as the safest sedan in its class, and that's not an accident. It's a combination of the design of the car, the engineering that goes into it, the low center of gravity with the battery down below the vehicle, the way that the cabin has been encased in a very rigid frame, but that the front and the back of the car are made to compact, to crush, to reduce the impact on the driver and the people inside the cabin. And just to know that I and my family, and Janine when she drives, and the girls when they're in the car, are in a car that's as safe as it can be is a very comforting thought, and it never gets old. I appreciate it as much today every time I get into the car as I did on that first day that I picked it up. Number 4, comfort. I have never owned a car where the seats were just inherently as comfortable as these. Add to that the multiple ways that the seat can be adjusted. Add to that the fact that you can save those adjustments as a profile, and that when you get into the car and it switches to your profile, it retrieves the seat adjustment settings. And it's impressive. I'm 6'2", pretty tall, but the seat is absolutely comfortable. And when I do a 4 or 5 hour trip to Kelowna, get there, I still feel refreshed. Once again, that is not an accident because Tesla make and design their own seats. They don't just get them off the shelf from a third-party supplier. Number 5, Autopilot. Now, when I first had the car, it had basic autopilot. After the big accident where somebody hit me from behind, I managed to take part of that settlement and get enhanced autopilot. And then when we heard that full self-driving was going to be going up in price astronomically, we had a little talk with Janine, aka Dragon Lady, and a lot of talk actually. And after that, we decided to spring for it. So that is where the car is now. It has full self-driving, but of course full self-driving hasn't come to us yet. We live in hope it will happen and that it will be great and safe when it does. But autopilot on a freeway, on a long trip, is a lifesaver. And I'm quite sure you've seen a lot of videos where autopilot, unbeknownst to the driver, saved their lives, actually stopped the car when something happened, actually jerked the car sideways to avoid a collision. Autopilot is a wonderful asset to have, and all new Teslas come with a basic autopilot already there. Number 6, the network of Tesla superchargers. I cannot tell you what an important benefit that is to Tesla owners. I just watched a video the other day. It was 1 hour, 20 minutes, and it was by Out of Spec Motoring, and the fellow that put that video together was Kyle. And Kyle had the opportunity to road test the new Ford Mustang, the electric Ford Mustang. Car has a range of 275 miles. It has the ability to charge up to 150 kilowatt. Every single time he stopped to charge, he had issues. There was drama. After 10 minutes of charging, the charger just cut off, and an error message appeared on the screen, and he had to unplug and move to another charger, try it again. Many of the times he tried to charge, it was only charging at 40 kilowatts instead of the 150 they were promised, even though he was on a 300 kilowatt charger. He ended that trip spending 2 to 3 times longer on the exercise of charging than he had anticipated. And we get to a charging station, we jump out of the car, we reach for the nozzle, we put it into the back of the car, and it just charges. It just smoothly charges. If your battery is low, it charges very fast. As it gets higher up and fills up, it slows down, the charge rate begins to slow down. But it's reliable. Now, I know that occasionally you'll come to a charger that's out of operation or something has happened, but those are the rare exceptions and they are not the norm. You have no idea how privileged you are. If you own a Tesla, you already know. We cannot overestimate how important the Tesla network of superchargers is to the success of the company and to the ongoing drive to penetrate the market of electric vehicles. Number 7, the drivetrain. And the drivetrain really consists of the battery and the motor. And in this area, Tesla literally have the best combination of the most effective motor and the most durable and effective battery system that, when paired together, give you longer battery life than any of the competition and give you greater mileage out of X number of kilowatt hours in your battery.
It's also the fastest production car to complete a quarter mile, so 9.23 seconds. It's got a 200 mile an hour top speed, over 1,000 horsepower, almost 400 mile range. Like I said, charges so fast, it'll be probably done by the time you have a coffee, basically. We have an all-new battery pack. And then something we're really proud of is the new carbon-sleeved rotors for the motor. And it's single speed from 0 to 200 miles an hour. I mean, you can pick this motor up with your hands, and it can accelerate a 2-ton car to 60 miles an hour in 2 seconds. It goes up to 20,000 RPM and maybe a little more. We also were able to achieve the lowest drag coefficient of any car ever made.
Are the others catching up? Well, some of them might be, and there's a lot of competition in the arena of battery development and battery types. But I can promise you this, The Tesla's battery system is still without peer. It's still the best in the field of electric vehicles. So that's a great feeling, to be driving where you know that the drivetrain is just the best that you could have got. Number 8, clean and simple and elegant. What am I describing? The cabin, the interior of our cars. Clean, simple, well, there's just a touch screen. Other controls, well, there are 2 buttons on the wheels. There are the stalks on either side. But aside from that, the simplicity is amazing. When I first got the car, it was scary. I kept on thinking, I should have more controls. How am I going to do this, that, or the other? And as time went by, I realized that there are lots of simple tricks to getting something to happen quickly, not the least of which are voice commands. I'm going to do an episode in the near future where I just look at the issue of voice commands. How sophisticated are they right now? Where have we got to? What can you control just by talking to your car? The simplicity, the cleanness, the openness, the elegant design. Every time I get in the car, I'm impressed by that. Every time I get in the car, I feel de-stressed because of the lack of clutter, the lack of binnacles and knobs and buttons and dials and fans and vanes and vents, all of those things that just clutter up ICE vehicles. So I love it. Number 9, that classic, elegant, aerodynamic styling on the exterior of the car. I don't know if any of you guys do this. I have to go shopping on a Saturday with Janine. We go down to Superstore and we do the grocery shopping. I hate doing it. I have my AirPods, I have my music going, and that really annoys her. That's when you see the dragon lady come out with the dragon bit. So when I park the car and we're walking toward the store, I probably turn my head around 2 to 3 times just looking at the car, especially when I've washed it, especially when it's clean and shiny. But I love the look of the car. It's elegant, it's aerodynamically styled, it still looks contemporary. A lot of the way that we enjoy vehicles is fairly shallow. It's appearance, it's the looks. And I know this is a personal thing, but I love the look of the Model 3, especially in red. And number 10, this is an intangible in a way, but it's the feeling of well-being that I get every time I open the door, jump into the car, and go for a trip, no matter how short or how brief it's going to be, no matter what the distance. I get in the car, I sit in the car, I shut the door, I have a feeling of peace. I have a feeling of well-being. I don't know where it comes from. It's a combination of all the things I've talked about. The level of safety, I know. The simplicity of the cabin, the comfort of the seats, the power of the acceleration. It's everything that I've talked about. But it gives me a feeling of well-being, of peace. When we're driving, isn't that probably the most important thing? The way you feel when you go for a drive, the way you feel when you set off on a trip. And this feeling of supreme well-being has never changed in the 3 years I've had the car. So there it is, 10 things that to me, at this point in time, are very, very significant. So why don't I go back and take a quick look at my 1-year anniversary list of top 10, and let's see exactly what I felt then and if I've changed my perception. 12 minutes later, going at double speed, we're back. And here is what I wrote down about my first anniversary list of what I love. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things that I listed there and listed here. And they were the emptiness in the cabin, they were the power and the acceleration, there were the road holding and the stickiness, and that was the safety part of it. There was the freedom. And I linked that to the charging network. We didn't have to plan in advance. We just go. Car told us where the charges are. There was the Autopilot, and there was over-the-air update. So those are the things that I find are common between how I feel now, how I felt back then. There were 4 things that I said then that I have not transferred over to my appreciation today. Number 1, the glass roof. Sad thing, you just come to take it for granted. Number 2, the silence. It is silent because it's an electric vehicle and it doesn't have the loud revving sounds that an ICE car has. But unfortunately, when you travel on tar roads that have a rough surface, it's still awful. The silence is a function of the type of road that you're driving over. And number 3, the music. Oh, I love the music system in my premium version of the Model 3. Now, I haven't owned 30 cars in my life, so I can't say that for every car this is the best. I can tell you, I've never experienced music like it. But again, I've taken it for granted. I didn't put it in today's list, but it's great. And it adds to the pleasure of driving. And finally, number 4, profiles. I didn't really talk about that today. I mentioned that I could save the seating adjustments in a profile, but back after a year, I wrote about profiles and what we could save in them and was very excited about that. So yeah, things have changed, but overall, wow, this is a winning car. And you're going to say, listen, there got to be things wrong with it. So when I looked at this and I thought, well, I can't think of anything right away that I don't like about it. I mean, think about this. What if you said to me, hey, Peter, tell us some bad things about your wife, about Janine, about Dragon Lady. How do you answer that question without getting slaughtered? But listen, I'm not married to the car, or it sometimes feels like I am. So let me try and be honest here. So I said to Janine, what are the things you don't like about the Model 3? So she said, no, I like it all. I said, no, think a little harder. So she said, well, number 1, you eventually have to get out of it. Okay. Number 2, it doesn't have bathroom or kitchen facilities. Okay. So that's the level of Janine's dislike. Then I thought about it and I thought, well, look, there were some things in those early Model 3s that were not necessarily the best design and could have been improved. But I'll tell you this, that the 2021 version has pretty much rectified those. Let me list you what I had here. No mud flaps. And if you drive around without mud flaps, you're going to wreck the surface underneath the rocker panels. There was no power lift gate. If you want to open the trunk, you lift it up. And you want to close it, you pull it down. How about wireless charge pad? There wasn't one in the early days. You had to buy yours. Now here's the thing. 2021, they have a power tailgate. And they have a wireless charge pad built into the car. They even have a flash drive, 128 gig, built into the car. We had to add our own. Those were some of the gripes I had in the past, but for those of you folks who are buying the car now, it doesn't exist. How about repairs? How about costs? I have not had to make any repairs that cost me money, thanks to the 4-year warranty. Everything that did fail, that included the charger door, it included the lock in the front, those things were all covered under warranty, so I didn't have to pay anything there. I have paid for several services. I just like to know that the car has been looked at by Tesla technicians. I paid for tire rotation a few times. I've paid for the full-on inspection. And I just consider that money well spent. They'll pick up something early if there is a need for it. It's not been anywhere near what I would have paid for on an equivalent ICE car. Okay, the one thing I really didn't like was that shiny, glossy piano black on the center console. I also didn't like the silver, the chrome around the windows. But again, you guys who are buying it today, it's been chrome deleted. They've taken away that chrome and they've made it black, and the door handles are black. So again, another irritation for old Model 3 owners. You don't have to worry about any longer. But the shiny plastic in the middle, I still have no idea why they continue to use that. And that leads me to the subject of what did I do to the car between the day I got it and this 3rd year anniversary. I'm just going to read this list, but I am going to put the list in the description below, so I will give you a link to every single thing that I have done on this car. Number 1, I got headrests that fitted over the top of the seat. Fantastic for a long trip. EV Premium Customs headrest. Number 2, I purchased a brushed metal applique that fitted right over. I did it myself. It was easy and it looks so much better. The sunlight doesn't reflect off it. It's really great. I purchased brighter interior bulbs. That makes a difference in the trunk and in the cabin. Purchased additional door seals on all 4 doors. It reduces external noise and it keeps the cabin insulated better from the outside world. I installed an O-ring, a rubber O-ring, around the roof glass. In the groove, it tends to reduce the sound of the wind whistling over the top of the car. Protective paint film, Ken Wilson. I had the car PPF'd and ceramic coated right in the beginning. Mud flaps, I got those after the first year because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't getting stones and mud flying up from the wheels as far as I possibly could. Then there was a wireless charge pad. I have a phone that charges wirelessly. We didn't have it in the original Model 3. I got those. A JEDA USB hub. I've talked about this before. The link is below. It fits into the front of the console, and you can plug different USB devices into it. It now hides the JEDA SSD drive, which they came out with recently. JEDA are always innovating, and they're always making additional accessories for Model Y, Model 3, and so that SSD is now part of my car. I bought decent mats. The Tesla car mats do not work in bad weather, in rainy, in slushy, in snow conditions. The water goes over the edge and onto the carpet, so I got some decent mats. Power tailgate, I didn't have, so I installed it myself. Took a whole day. I did an episode, and for all of these things here, you can get a link down in the description below. And finally, the JEDA tray, which goes into the front end of the console, allows you to charge your AirPods case, your watch, Apple Watch, and I think some of the Android watches as well. I mean, you see the name JEDA appear 3 times. Right now, they're having significant discounts off all of their products. So if you're looking at getting any of them, it's a good time to get them. Regrets, finally.
Regrets.
Yeah. Let me give you some honest regrets. So here we go. Number 1, my first regret. We didn't have a choice 3 years back between the Y and the 3. If I were to do it today, I'd probably go for the Y. Regret number 2. Didn't have the option of a dual motor. All of the first vehicles, and we were so impatient to get the Model 3, were rear-wheel drive, long-range plus premium interior. Number 3, regret number 3, that I didn't just pay a little bit more and get the better wheels. I got the ones with the aero covers, and look, they're great, and when you take the aero covers off, the wheels below look pretty good, but they don't look as good as the ones that you had to pay extra for. Regret number 4, that I didn't have protective paint film, PPF, applied right around the car. I should have said to Ken, I know it's going to cost me more, but do the whole car. I wish I had put it there. Number 5, I wish that I hadn't undertaken my first road trip to America, to the USA, just when I did. Because it was on that trip that we got smacked from behind, and Red Dragon was crippled and disabled, and it took 2 months to have everything repaired. I'll say this on the plus side. It has been repaired spectacularly well. There are no issues with the repair that have manifested 2 years later. None whatsoever. I'll also say this. I got a settlement from their insurance company that allowed me to get enhanced autopilot. So that can't be a bad thing. But it was just a regret that I wish I'd not been there on that day. And you know, you can say that about any accident, and it's a ridiculous argument to make. But you know, you think about it a lot, and you think, if I just hadn't been there, if I'd stayed longer at the whatever other attraction we were looking at, this might never have happened. Okay, well, that's my sober reflection, and maybe it's time to open this now and sit back and have a nice, relaxing cider. For those of you that haven't yet got a Tesla at all, or you're weighing it up, the real challenge is, should we get a 3 or a Y? And that's a question only you can answer. But if you are going to buy a Tesla, I'd love it if you use my referral code down here. It gives you 1,000 miles of free supercharging, and that's a great thing. That's it for now. I'll see you next time, and thanks again for supporting my channel.